Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'd just like to say the trend on the ASX 200 on the daily chart looks pretty good, and we said for the last few days now it should hold that support and test that 5,600 level. It looks like it possibly could do that. So while the market looks sort of fairly bullishish, we're obviously quite relaxed and we're happy to keep trending stocks and looking to make money. We actually had an interesting day actually with the trends. I'll show you better on the long term. Car gave us a really interesting day. It's a trend that when we put it out, we said this is going to be a real ride, and you can see how this stock moves up and down by huge amounts each week. And it did no different today. Today it reported, it was a great report. I think the earnings growth outside Australia looks very, very good. I think their revenue is up 10%. So I actually thought the report was pretty good. Someone didn't. They sold it down, and I think it was down about 12% at one stage. And then it bounced beautifully up. At one stage it was up about 3.5%, and I think it ended the day up about 1.37%. I still think that sort of price action is quite bullish to get sold down and then brought back up so quickly. So by obviously people who took a little bit longer to read the report. I think it's quite bullish. So this hopefully will keep trending up, and we've got that $13 level as a target price to hopefully maybe a little bit higher to take some more money off the table. FPH again, looks fine. One of the perfect trends. Focus, it's sort of down a little bit since we put it on, but again I haven't got no issues. The trend for me looks absolutely fine. GHC, Burson, looking absolutely great. It's got no issues. We're in profit with that stock, and GMG absolutely looks great. So the trending stocks are fine. Now we've added two more today, and I'll tell you the story behind those. This morning I was sort of really looking at ANZ at the time, and I just saw ANZ had a nice move up, and originally, at the beginning of this week, I actually thought the banks could potentially be quite bearish. I thought they're just going to do their normal thing, come out testing that moving average and trend down. But I think when I look at this price action, I think this may be the start of some sort of reversal with the banks. And I know it's quite a big call, but I do like that price action. I went to have a look at that ANZ on that daily chart, and again it just looks absolutely fantastic, and it just smacked right through that decent buy signal. And I think this, for me, this looks like it's going to go a lot higher. Now I didn't put ANZ out as a trend. I basically went for Westpac because I think the price action looks very, very similar to ANZ, except it looks to me like obviously a few weeks beforehand. And I think it's got a great little buy signal on here. The way the stocks started to move up, it's come down and hit that moving average. It's bounced pretty quickly back above that really shorter term trend line, and having that nice big green candle. I think this Westpac looks again a start of possibly a really good move upwards. As with CBA, again we haven't been crazy about the banks, but CBA is doing the right thing. Yeah, looks like now it's hit the bottom, quadruple bottom. Suddenly it's good big green candle, and I think there's no reason we can't, maybe similar to move here, have a got a big good big green candle and had a nice big move up. So, and then again, like I said, you look at that short-term trend, it looks really, really good. So remember, we're just trending the banks, but I think there's money to be made on them, and hopefully it is the start of the trend on the banks trending up a little bit, because there are a lot of Australian families with a lot of their money in the banks, and I know it would mean a lot to especially a lot of our members if these banks can improve themselves and start making some money for people who have invested in them. I'd just like to say, we said the other week about OTW potentially could start flying, and I think it had a great move today. It was up 7.44%. Now actually you got to pay 2.75, and there are bidders at 270, so it's most probably up about 10% in reality today, OTW. And It looks very, very, very good on the charts. It's hard to get hold of this stock because I think the owner owns a huge percentage of it, and it's one of our 3-year growth stories, but I think it looks absolutely excellent. If you're not in it, have a look. It's hard to put much money in it because of obviously the volume issues with the company. But again, I think this could be a real nice little winner for Equity Story over the next year or so. Obviously, another of our stories that did brilliantly today was MOY. This is a great little gold play, and since we put on 11 cents, this is up now nearly not far off 200%, and it still looks like it's going to run. Some of those gold hits they had today were absolutely outstanding, and I think I said the other day, I think this is a 45-cent stock in the short term, and I think it could go there. Even though that gold is starting to get a little bit of negative talk around it, maybe it might go down and retest those lows before it eventually fires up. I do think MOY is just a great company, and certainly I think the price action on the chart looks good, and those gold hits today are well worth looking at. Another company actually we trended before, which I noticed, I just thought I'd mention it in these videos. We don't really I don't often like to trend stocks with very, very little volume, and this possibly does have a little bit too little volume for me to trend, but certainly IRI looks very, very good at the moment, and although we have trended this one before, I think it really is this is a potential 3-year growth story, because this company is a company that's growing its revenue by over 20% a year, and that price action just on that weekly chart I think looks pretty decent, and I think this could go up and at least test that 260 level over the next month or so. Obviously, as long as we don't have any black swan event from America. I'd just like to say, always the great thing about Equity Story is the members sending ideas, and had 2 really interesting stocks the other day. One was TNK, and it's Think Child, or Think Childcare. I think they do childcare centres. But again, although we don't trend companies with such little volume, it certainly looks like an absolutely fantastic trend. So thank you for sending that one in. I think we've actually thrown this one with the analysts to have a look at. Again, when you've got a stock moving like this, there's obviously a lot of good news behind the company, and this could be a really interesting one, because these sort of child care orientated companies, when they get going, they can have quite a nice little move up. So it looks very good. So thank you for sending that one in. And that gentleman also sent this one called BYL. Now I think they're saying maybe this stock's got the potential as a bit of a recovery story. I think they got a contract in for something like 30 million the other day. This one, I quite like it. Again, it's good to see it obviously trending a little bit better on the short term, but for me, I don't really get too excited in stocks unless I can see them on a long-term chart really turn. And I think if this one can get above maybe 18 cents, I think, and then possibly swing on the daily a little bit more, come down, have a nice swing movement, I'd be more inclined to like the story. But again, thank you for sending these ideas in, because it's obviously a big help, and gives us some fantastic stocks and ideas to look at every day. Anyway, that's all I've got to talk about Equity Story tonight. I'd like to obviously thank you, and good night.